Hello, it's Taylor, and this is going to be a video about my writing process. I thought I'd start it with a quote. Somebody asked me about brainstorming and about what I do, and actually my writing process has changed quite a bit from when I very first started making the YouTube videos, which has been almost a year now. I can't believe it's been almost a year. So I thought I'd start with a quote. There's one thing your writing must have to be any good at all. It must have you, your soul, yourself, your heart, your guts, your voice. You must be on that page. Be honest, be open, be true. Um, I got that quote. It says Elizabeth Ayers, T.S. Eliot, and T.S. Eliot. I got that from this. I found it. I had lost it. It was in a drawer. And when I rearranged my writing room, I found it again. So now I can go back to putting my word count in here and keeping track of things for writing in this. So my writing process. When I originally started making the videos for NaNoWriMo, I was a pantser. Then I tried to be a hardcore outliner. And neither one of those really worked for me. Pantsing kind of puts me in when I get to the middle area of the novel, I end up like with the saggy middle, and I kind of lose my way, and I don't, so I thought, okay, that's not working. So then I tried hardcore outlining. I used Save the Cat and a few other methods, and I was trying really hard to do what I thought I was supposed to do for outlining. Didn't work so well either. So I decided I'd try maybe the combination of the two, and I called it being a plotster, but it is actually called a loose outliner. People call it different things. So what I start with the seed of an idea, and I get the ideas from either when I'm in the shower, I'm taking a walk, I'm taking a drive, from books I read, from movies, from documentaries, from history, from the news, various places, various things prompt the idea. So I came up with an idea based on like real life. There's something from my family has like supposedly a curse, and it's a 7-generational curse, evidently. So I thought, okay, well, I thought I'd start with a family who's cursed, and I'd make my protagonist the one person who can rid the family of the curse. And I thought I'd add in a bit of supernatural. I come from a family of psychic, so not like call the number psychic or like fortune teller with the little booth and the crystal ball kind of psychic, but various people in my family have dreams and they come true, or they sense things, they can touch things and know things. And I know a lot of you will be in the I can't believe that's true category, but I've been seeing ghosts and being able to kind of sort of relate or talk to, communicate with them since for as long as I can remember. I think I was like 4 or 5 years old. My grandparents lived in downtown Charleston in South Carolina, and the townhouse they were living in was one of the really old brick ones, and it was haunted. And I was upstairs in what they kind of called the attic, but it wasn't really, I mean, I think it used to be an attic, but it wasn't an attic anymore. And I was upstairs up there having tea with the ghost. My grandmother heard me talking to people, only she didn't hear anybody else talking, and she thought, well, at first she thought I was just, I had a really healthy dose of imagination. But then she kept hearing what I was saying, like I was answering questions or talking, actually carrying on a real conversation. And she asked me what was going on, and I told her, and yeah. So I don't really talk about it a whole lot because people really just, they're like negative Nancy's, disbelievers. So, but anyway, so I thought I'd take a few things from real life, and I'd combine them into fiction, and because I know something about some of these things. So I thought, okay, I'll make this young adult woman, mid to late 20s. I'm much older than that. And I'd make her ancestors Scots-Irish. I know something about that. I would make her raised by her grandmother after her parents were killed by what I am going to call magic hunters. The Magi Hunters is what they're going to be called. And I was at first calling them witch hunters, but they're going after more than witches, so that wasn't an appropriate term. She's going to be extremely powerful after her 27th birthday. This is somebody who really just wants to be normal. She doesn't want to come from a family full of witches and psychics and, you know, mediums and things like that. She doesn't want to be part of that world. She just wants to be normal and ordinary. So she moves away when she goes to college, and she stays away. Part of the reason she wants to be normal so badly is because her parents were killed by magic hunters, and she's just doesn't want anything to do with magic whatsoever at all. So the family curse, there's only one person allowed in her line to be alive at the same, you know, that can have all the power, that can be powerful. So her grandmother is killed by a witch who is a practitioner of dark magic, black magic, and it's kind of questionable about whether she's in league with one of the Magi hunters. So there's this legend, though, that there's going to be one descended from the primary descendant. She was burned at the stake in Scotland over 300 years ago, and her daughter, along with her husband, they escape Scotland, and they go to what would be back then, you know, the colonies, but is America, and they miss the Salem witch trials by just by a little bit, and they end up in the South. So we have this legend. So I start out brainstorming, and the bullet stuff I just told you, and I have her name under here, and then this, I just give you the description. She moved away. I give you this, where her grandmother dies 2 weeks before her 27th birthday. She's killed by a witch. I talk about the witch is a practitioner of probably black or dark magic, and I have a question mark. Is she in league with the magic hunters? And then this is the notification of the grandmother's death and the funeral. It's an important thing. This right here is the legend or prophecy, and then an arrow goes over here that says I need to write this. I need to write the actual, like a legend. Do I need to actually make it a prophecy, or do I need to make it a legend where it's something that's been passed down from generation to generation, and now it's become more of a myth, so nobody really believes it. And I have an asterisk, the importance of her ancestor and the curse, why her family is cursed. I have this that says it's her birthday, she gets her full powers, becomes extremely powerful to the point where it's scary powerful. Then I have this, and this is multicolor coded because it's relevant to very different plot lines and art and character arcs. And it has relatives in the circle. Her grandmother was head of a coven, and it says they realize, her relatives in the circle, that the protagonist has to be trained, that she's in danger, she's a danger to herself, maybe to others, and because she is so extremely powerful, and with the hunters being after her, it makes her powers actually a liability to her and others if she doesn't get trained. And then over here to the corner, I have an asterisk, and it says cousins. One saves and one betrays. And then this right here is about the magic hunters, and in a block I have, they've been around for centuries, but are like now a secret society. They're watchers and hunters. They have two different categories. The watchers just watch, and then the hunters go after people who have any type of supernatural ability whatsoever at all. And then I have a blank with a highlight because I haven't quite figured out the last name for the antagonist at that point when I did this. And it says this person's family, that last name's family, has been watching the Winter family for over 300 years. That's the protagonist's last name is Winter. And I have little notes over to the side, I calling them, because at first I didn't know what to call them, so then I found out. And I put the Magia Hunters, and I think it's a Greek word, means magic. And then I have a little block that says antagonist, and I have a question mark where I have the Meridian Society, because that may be end up the name of this organization. And then where you have here the blank ones, that's because I don't want to do like spoilers, and so I brainstorm. Now, one of the things about, you come up with the seed of the idea, and then you brainstorm. Once you've brainstormed, it's time to do research. Now, when I do research, I go to the library, I go online, I search for books that are relevant to my topics, to topics that are raised in my novel. I have this big ass binder that I print out research work that I find either on the internet or at the library, and I put it in the research folder part. It has a tab, and like right here, this is research. It's witchcraft in medieval Scotland. And then I have one that says, I have printed out for ESP. I have printed out information for auras. I have printed out information for other things that are relevant to my novel. I also will buy books if they're really relevant, like, and you'll see this one come up quite a bit, Celtic Folk Soul, Art, Myth, and Symbols, because I have some books on witchcraft. I have the Wicca Handbook. I have the History of Witchcraft, I got from the library. I have a book that is an encyclopedia about demons. I have several different books. Some I got from the library, some I have purchased. I have a book about the history of South Carolina because my setting is in the South. It's in South Carolina. I have made a fictional town, and based on some of the smaller towns that actually do lie on the outskirts of Charleston, where I grew up. So I'm familiar with those things, but I'm not familiar with what they were like 300 years ago. So I have the book for the history of South Carolina, and I have done some research online as well, printed that stuff out, and I go through, I do a lot of research. What I have an insert in here in my writer's Bible, and it is labeled research. So if I'm at the library or I'm watching things online, I will jot down the names of books, the names of websites, information that I think is relevant. I actually take notes when I watch documentaries, and I label them, and that kind of thing. So I do a ton of research. And then the next step would be to actually do my outline, and that would be like, because I don't do really big outlines, and I only do like small, like I do the plot points, like what you see on this, I take a poster board. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, in Save the Cat, there are 15 main plot points. I have little things over to the side for the main 12 that will probably be actually a plot point. So, like with this would actually be the introduction. And then the grandmother dying is one of the, it's like an inciting incident because she goes to the funeral, and while she's at the funeral, or right after the funeral, some of the relatives and some of the main people from the circle, from the coven, they talk to her and they tell her that, you know, according to her grandmother, she is to be next in line to head this coven. Now, this is this person who's not wanted to practice and hasn't practiced magic since she was young, since she was a teenager. She doesn't want to be a witch. She doesn't want to participate in the magical world whatsoever at all. She just wants to be a normal person. But her grandmother's death, being killed by the magic hunters, it's pissed her off, and she wants justice for her grandmother's death. 2 weeks later, she's trying to go through all of her grandmother's things. She's trying to get it all together. She's trying to figure out what she wants to do. And she has her birthday, and when she turns 27, and this is part of the curse, when she turns 27, she gains all of her power and what was her grandmother's power, so she ascends kind of sort of into her true witchy self. And so that changes everything. Now she has the choice of walking away from the magical world, but that also means walking away from seeking justice and finding justice for her grandmother's death, for her grandmother's murder. So we have the inciting incident and then the immediate effects afterwards, like what happens after her birthday, and she chooses to stay in the magical world and to do something. And like I told you over here, she has to train. They've all realized that she has to learn what to do with all this power, learn how to control it, how to use it. And she is realizing more and more that this curse that her family has, it's actually real. So this, I take stick-it notes and index cards, and I take a poster board, or like right now I have it on my wall and a poster board, and I put the stick-it notes and I color code them for different things. Like, is one more of a character thing? Is one more of a plot thing? Is it action or reaction? And that goes on my wall. When I have completed all my sticky notes that are important for those anywhere from 7 to like 15 major plot points, and I use 1 or 2 sentences. Like this says, this one says that for the introduction, she moved away for college and stayed away, never wanted to be a witch, doesn't use her gifts. That's it. That's all I have for the introduction. For the inciting incident and what I know is going to cause the inciting incident is going to be one of the major, plot points. Her grandmother dies 2 weeks before her 27th birthday. It's killed by a witch. And then below that, I have the witch is a practitioner of black or dark magic. Is she in league with the magic hunters? Now this is going to be important. It's going to be a plot point. So I have it, like I have things color coded. Once I'm done with the storyboard that's on my wall, I go into Scrivener. I open up a new project. I used to keep my research material in Scrivener. I used to do that. It would allow you, when you linked a website, the page would actually come up on the page in the Scrivener file. For, like, if you labeled it like the one for research, you could have different ones for each section of research or whatever you wanted. But after some things changed with Scrivener, and then it would only let me do the link, or I had to copy and paste the whole website and put it on there. I like to be able to access Scrivener offline. And if I only have a link to a website, I can't access that when I don't have internet access. So that wasn't really working so well for me. So I needed everything to be right there where I could see it, whether it was online or offline. So I went back to doing old school and printing out my research. Like, if I find some really good stuff, sometimes you can find some decent stuff on Wikipedia. Sometimes you go to, like, there are different websites for different things, and you can find really good information. And instead of like just bookmarking them, and I do bookmark them, I will actually print stuff out. So I'm back to old school. Because I sometimes take my laptop and I am sometimes writing or doing stuff, and I don't always, like I said, have access to internet, which seems really strange, but it's the truth. So that's what I do. I put my project stuff in Scrivener. I get everything ready. I do my index cards and my stick-it notes, and I put it all in. And what I have basically outlined are the 3 acts or arcs, whatever people call them, different things. The 3 to 4 acts, depending on how you do your novel. I have also basically, with 1 or 2 sentences, outlined each chapter. I don't, however, outline scenes. That's a little bit too detailed for me, for the pantser in me, so I don't outline scenes. And once I have that done, I will start with the character list, and I will put in my characters and name them, and I color code them, like for main character, for ally, for antagonist, for mentor, for family members, for contagonist, whatever, and I have them color coded. And then I will go in and I will search Google for pictures and stuff like that, and I'll add pictures into their character sketches. I also add pictures and information into my setting. Um, I think in Scrivener, like for the one, you have like the setting sketch, and you can put information down about your settings. And I'll find pictures and stuff that are relevant to like different places that are going to be in my novel, to the different settings. And once I have all those pictures, sometimes I'll actually print a few pictures out and put it on my storyboard, or beside different things that are kind of connected to my storyboard for inspiration and stuff like that. And then once I have all of that in there, all my character sketches, my setting sketches, my basic core outline, I start writing. Usually I just start with like a summary. I'll do a little bit of free writing for anywhere from 10 minutes to a few hours, and I will just write about what I think is going on in my novel, what I think is going to happen, and things like that, so that I get in the mode, in that zone for my novel, and it puts me right in there where I know I need for some of these things to happen, where my muse is sparked because I've written about it. And then once that part is done, that file isn't actually part of the novel. It's just sort of summary, brainstorming, that kind of thing. And I start actually writing the first page of my novel. And that's what my writing process is. I have it's taken me a good while to kind of figure out what my groove is for writing, because what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. And I have friends who are major outliners, and I have friends who are major, intuitive writers. They write by the seat of their pants. So, and like I said, I fall somewhere in the middle. So for those of you who are interested in what my writing process is and how I brainstorm or do, that's it. I hope you guys have a good one, and thanks. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them below, and I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. And I appreciate you watching. Please click like if you did like the video, and thank you. Have a good day. Bye.